All right, everybody, welcome to episode 174 of the Follow-Tonians. Not Ped here in Overland Park, Kansas, and also not Ped in Charleston, South Carolina. It seems to be going so well. Also not Ped. How are things?
It is a fantastic evening, not Ped. We're very sad that Ped is not here, though we know that he attended the match earlier and definitely enjoyed it. But we're carrying on in his absence.
Yeah. September is getting off to a really good start for the Toffees. 2 wins in the first of 5 in 14 days. So that's good. Let's work back to the West Brom match first, because on the weekend, after you and I spoke last week in your debut co-hosting of the Follow-Tonians with me, things started off pretty well for Everton. We got Stones in there for Distan, who is quote unquote injured. Not sure how injured he is, but he didn't make the lineup, and he wasn't.
Do you not believe the stories that are being told? He's got to be injured, right?
Sure, absolutely. It makes it easier to change your lineup and make save face maybe.
Well, I guess we must say that in terms of predictions, you were correct for the West Brom game. So a slight applause for you.
Yay me!
Switch Jags to the left center back position and play John Stones in the right center back position.
Yeah, I figured the only reason why you would play Jags out of position and not John Stones is just due to experience, and is on the road. You're not going to want to have someone out of position and inexperienced as well. I just felt like it made more sense to put John's where he felt most comfortable, and then leave it up to your captain of your club to fill in as a utility player and step up. So.
Well, we have to say that it went quite well at West Brom. Normally, the Hawthorns, I mean, at least recently, has been fairly challenging for us. But in terms
all the stats and all of the recent history was not in our favor, that's for sure. But never have we before gotten such a great assist from Olsen either. So
I think that may be the lesson for the week is if you make a bad mistake in defense, we absolutely punish you, and we punish you immediately. Not expected. Normally, what we get from Olsen is just like hanging on our players, fouling them on corners. We saw a little bit of that with John Stones. Yeah, we got a lot of that, but
we still got plenty of that. But early on in the second minute, a horrible clearance, or very great clearance.
It was a fantastic pass, and straight to his feet.
I mean, yeah, it was well weighted and perfectly placed right onto the foot of Romelu Lukaku. From about 22 yards out, a little bit off to the side. And how much did that ball hook in the last 10 yards?
It started out at he started out aiming at the corner flag, and his first touch was amazing. His first touch is like, oh, okay, I'll take it, and then he just whips it around, and the look on Ben Foster's face was fantastic. He just he looks over at Jonas Olsen, shakes his head, and just it's like, what are you doing? It's like, why am I playing for West Brom?
Right. Well, later on we'll find out why he's playing for West Brom.
Exactly.
I want to touch on this since it happened immediately after the goal, and the celebration or lack thereof of Romelu Lukaku for opening his account in the league as a permanent Everton player, and it goes like this, and to where it's almost apologetic for a club that he was loaned to for 1 year, 2 years ago.
Where do you fall on this spectrum? Because there's a line of thought that says, regardless, you celebrate it because you scored a goal. That's your purpose. And then there's another line of thought that's like, hey, it's okay that you actually respected them. where do you fall on it? I think I know where I fall on it.
It's fine to respect a club that you played for, but for me, the fact that he was there for 1 year on loan and it wasn't like his childhood club. It wasn't a club that he played for 5 years, and this is his first time facing them. I
Uh-huh.
mean, he played them last year. I'm pretty sure, if I do remember correctly.
He didn't score though.
So what?
Yeah, I'm
I,
with
I,
you.
I think it's a little far removed from being apologetic. I understand it, and if that's his mindset, then and that's how he felt. If he felt so um, such that he didn't want to rub it in their face, I guess, then that's fine. But for me, I don't know if it required such restraint.
Yeah, and I think that the distinction there is between like being apologetic and not celebrating. So I mean, I can understand not celebrating just to be like, hey, y'all gave me a great platform to build my career on, and I'm not going to celebrate, and I'm going to run back, and like all of that sort of thing. But it makes it somewhat different when you make a point of not celebrating because
Right.
it's almost like, hey, you it's
But the
like
best
you're
thing about that is Stephen Naismith had no problems coming in and jumping in. That seems like if he doesn't score, that's his celebration. Is I'm just gonna go get a piggyback ride off of whoever put the ball in the net.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not gonna slate Lukaku for it because I think he's a respectful kid, and
and it's really hard because that was such a class finish.
yeah, and maybe that should just be a celebration all the time. Just be like, thanks. It's like, thank you, Jonas. Thank you, or Jonas. Sorry. And I think it must have been the ghost or the spirit of Paddy Howland that actually took over Jonas Olsen's body at that point after that comment I made about him last week.
Right.
Uh, we spoke about that at length, and we know Patty was in the building, so I think that touch was a direct result of that.
Yeah, I can't comment directly on Patty's footy ability. I haven't seen it in person, so
But he does own a wig, so it could have happened.
yeah, I mean that is a very lovely lock. A head of hair, something you can't really comment on.
No, yeah, I shaved it
But
all off yesterday.
anyways,
Patty and I are in the
um,
same boat in that respect.
but the first half, I mean, the early goal definitely settled us. First half, tons of possession for us. Not a whole lot going on for West Brom as far as attack. They had a couple of shots. Um, One stat that I noticed was that there was like 12. They had 12 shots, but 7 of which were blocked by Everton, which
Exactly.
is a huge change in mentality from the Chelsea match. So that was um, very welcome to see.
Well, and we also saw like you also saw like a huge, I guess, difference in the number of corners. I think we had like one. We got at the very end of the match, and West Brom had somewhere either 8 or 9. And it was the exact thing. It was a matter of like we're getting in front of them. They're not getting great chances, but every single chance they get, we're putting a body in front of it and either deflecting it away or and they may get a corner, but our defense held firm. So um, couldn't be couldn't be more happy with the performance from that perspective. We had like the one lapse, and I guess we'll get to it at the end, but we had like one lapse on James McCarthy almost played in I guess it was Berahino. And I mean that was the one lapse of the game, and we managed to like snuff that out. So uh, they had a fair bit of chances. And I guess we're kind of seeing this in both of the games that we're going to talk about today. We're allowing them to have more possession at certain times, and just being clinical when we're in possession and when we get chances. And I mean, if they're going to have possession and not hurt us, then they're welcome to it.
Right. Yeah. This was our fourth match of the league, and we've scored 9 goals. So
Got a lot of goals. We've got a lot of goals this.
I'm
we got a
very
lot of goals this season.
confused by this thing of putting the ball into the opposing team's net frequently.
Yeah, because I mean, you were around. You were around as well when I mean the show was as well. So when we were,
It's our fifth season, buddy. Of
yeah, it's
course
your
we
fifth
were.
season. Yeah, so when we were running Tim Cahill, and I love Tim Cahill. He was the first named shirt that I ever got. But when we were running Tim Cahill up front and getting a lot of nil-nil draws and just not scoring goals,
Mm-hmm.
and goals really determine where you finish in a lot of ways because it turns a lot of draws into wins, and the extra points are very helpful in that regard. So the fact that we're scoring goals, even though we were conceding a lot at the beginning, I mean, we had a tough run of games at the beginning, so I don't mind that. And the fact that we continued to score and we didn't concede against West Brom is a very good
There are a
sign.
couple of goals that I have take some issue with, but we've
From
already
us or
discussed
from
those.
us or from the
Those are
others?
done and dusted, and we should have definitely had more than our share of points from the first four matches of the season. So, but 1-1 or 1-0 at halftime. Everything is looking pretty good. Very smooth. Tons of possession. Nothing really, anything standing out as far as deficiencies from the side. Very strong squad, which was nice to see.
Yeah. When we started out the match like trying to get comfortable, and because it was obviously our defense and our the guy and Barry and McCarthy were playing midfield looked like they were trying to like start to get a rhythm together.
Right.
And you saw that in the first like 15 minutes. We obviously scored really early, but even after that, it was still a little bit disjointed. And as we moved forward in the game, we just like picked up the familiarity from last season, like where we left off, and started to see Barry really impose himself on the game.
Yeah.
And started to look more and more comfortable, despite the fact that we were only leading by a goal.
Second half, and it's more of the same. It's almost as if West Brom wasn't sure what Alan Irvine wanted them to do.
Yeah, they're in a tough period, and I think you're completely right when you say that they don't necessarily know what they want to do. Because normally what we talked about last week, what you normally expect from a West Brom team, because their motto is they come up and they're playing percentages to reduce the goals as much as possible, reduce the amount of like time on the ball that the other team gets,
Right.
and attempt to keep the scores as low as possible. And the way they did that is they try to control the midfield and they'd fight you in the midfield, but they bought a couple of players this summer and they played more attacking set of midfielders of the bashers, if you will, on the bench. So in terms of going forward, they looked a little bit better. Their movement in the final third wasn't great, so they'd get up to the final third and then kind of like run out of ideas. But we were able to control the midfield a lot more and really like start passing through them because they didn't have anybody to like. They weren't pressing us very high, especially in the first half. They weren't pressing us high at all. They started in the second half pressing us high, and then as we started to break through them, we got more and more opportunities, and they didn't really have an answer. And I'm not sure exactly why they didn't put on the sort of their the folks that could really do damage to us and like beat us up in the midfield. But I guess that's not what Alan Irvine was thinking about.
He's also thinking that he liked Everton a lot and it might be nice to give them their first win of the year.
Yeah, when they were chasing a goal as well, so I guess that was the concern.
But yeah, he did learn a lot of tactics from our previous manager, so maybe.
I'm a big believer in like the theory that Alan Irvine when it was like 2007, 2008 was the reason that we were playing the good football that we were playing. So I think he knows how to play good football. It's just maybe he doesn't necessarily have the players he needs to be able to change a game when he needs to be able to change a game. And I think that any team that doesn't press us high and concedes possession in our half for any period of time is really causing themselves a lot of trouble. because
Yeah, and
we
that,
will
that
literally keep
definitely
the ball.
happened in the 66th minute. Kevin Morales gets the ball on the left-hand side, and and what can only be described as a howler by Ben Foster. Morales' shot stays on the carpet and goes underneath the body of Ben Foster into the net for our second goal.
I feel like he scores one like that a season because you remember how you had it last year where he did that slow roller that Barry somehow flicked into the bottom corner, and it was just like, well, that was kind of slow, but it went in.
Yeah,
He
Barry
does
was
that. He does it
offsides
every
on that
season.
one, but anyways,
We don't, we won't talk about
no,
that part of it. It evens out over the season and all
sure,
that.
not really, but we'll take it when it does.
That's right. But yeah, no. I mean, you got to take your chances. That's what it comes down to. And we had a number of chances at the end that were a whole lot better crafted, but
Yeah,
you got to take the shot to make it. So
yes, set up the inner workings that led to a shot by Osman.
oh my gosh, it was like we transported back to 2007, and the amusing thing about it was the number of players that were involved in the move at Larissa and the number of players that were involved in that move that are the same ones. Because I mean, obviously Leighton Baines started the move in 2007, or I guess Cahill to Baines to Pinar to Osman, and then this time it was Baines to Morales to Osman, and it was just like I obviously Osman didn't strike it as well as he did that night in playing against Larissa, but
Right.
Foster had to dig that one out. And I mean,
Yeah, great
after
save
the,
by
after the
Foster.
howler, I mean, if he doesn't pull like a nice save out, then he can barely justify his position, I suppose. But I loved the move, and I think the fact that we were playing more confident football just made us feel so much better going into such a big Europa League tie this Thursday.
Yeah, I want to get an honorable mention shout out to Mo Bessick for coming in and picking up a yellow card within 2 minutes.
That was ridiculous. Was that Anthony Taylor doing his
Yeah.
his best completely bewildered impression?
I'm like, come on, dude, you just came on, but that is the
So-
worst tackle so far this match. I have to book you.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
So wait,
what it was.
who was your man of the match?
For me, it's probably Barry.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I think so. Stones, I don't know, man, Stones was a close second.
That tackle he made at the end was fantastic.
Very, very, very nice.
He has these really bendy legs that are really weird. And if you watch him like in slow motion, like his leg like bends up like this, and he'll snap into a tackle, and you'll see his leg like bending in this sort of unnatural way. I wish mine did that.
I'm glad mine don't. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd probably all my tendons and ligaments would probably snap at that point. But yeah, I think it's got to be Barry for man of the match, and I'm glad that he came back because he didn't look great the first couple of games, and maybe it was just a matter of fitness. He hasn't gotten a lot of plaudits from the media about that performance, but he was, his rhythmic passing was fantastic, and he started just pulling out those pieces of vision where it's like, oh, he takes one touch and he plays it over three players over into the corner, to the players' feet, and exactly why we loved Barry last season.
Sure. Lukaku and Morales open their account. Morales, he actually looks like he's wanting to be a part of the match for the full 90 minutes, which is really great. I want to like him, but
he apparently came back. He apparently came back a little earlier to start training. He's really hungry, and
good.
I mean, maybe it's because we haven't signed him up for a new contract yet, but
I think it might have to do with the fact that some of his countrymen are joining us, and some really great talent are actually seeing that Everton has potential, and so he has maybe the greener grass that is the next club that he would join might not necessarily look too far off than just at Goodison itself.
Yeah. I love Morales. I love his mentality. If nothing else, I think that he sometimes makes selfish decisions, but I'm completely okay with the selfish decisions because of he's forcing the
Yeah, but
defenders a lot of
that
time can.
layoff to Osman was
Beautiful, beautiful.
amazing,
He's making
and
his time so much better than he was when he first got to Everton,
right.
which is
So hopefully there's
Martinez.
some maturing going on there, and some sense of playing for the shirt and not on and what's on the front of it and not necessarily the back. But 3 points to Everton.
Yeah,
We've got
I think we would be remiss if we didn't say that Lukaku had the best game of his season so far. Um,
sure.
because maybe it was a lack of fitness previously, and the international break and the rest, and the fact that he got to heal that toe injury, sort of brought him back to his best. But he was all over the place. He was moving around and doing the thing that he's best at, which is running at defenders and laying it off. And if he can keep doing that, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure why West Brom didn't play the Lukaku defense, which is force him to play with his back to goal all the time, like wherever he is. Put two players on him, just don't let him ever turn. Whatever he was doing, he was finding space, and he looked dangerous throughout the match, which is a great sign for us.
Yep. So I think at one point we're up to ninth. We've fallen back down to 11th in the table. -1 on goal difference, 5 points after 4 matches. So just gotta keep scoring.
Yeah, and we're right.
Keep scoring.
Great thing is all the teams that we're competing with for the top four or at least the ones that we're going to be most closely competing with, are all having about the same start as us. So even though it could have
like
been
the
better,
Southamptons and Swanseas.
yeah, and West Ham and all them.
Right.
So I mean, it could have been better, and I think that the good thing is that we are showing that we have a lot of gears yet to play into, but.
Sure.
It could have been much worse, and it was a challenging start. And hopefully, we'll be able to move forward and start picking up points regularly.
Yeah. Moving on to the second match of the week. This is making it hard to manage podcasts and everything because
I don't know when I'm gonna write this match review. I guess in the morning.
There's too much to talk about. So Thursday night under lights at Goodison.
The new lights.
Yeah, the new for HD.
I love that Greg O'Keefe called the glow of Goodison sexy right before the match.
Nice, excellent.
Yeah, I was like, well done.
Excellent, yes. Sees Everton return to European play, hosting Wolfsburg of Germany, and unchanged lineup. The only change to the bench, Eto'o comes in for Garbett. So
Samuel Eto'o plays for Everton.
Which is just amazingly crazy to think about that we've got a player of Eto'o's caliber and pedigree. It all boils down to Roberto
We'll definitely
Martinez.
get to it, but him coming off the bench, just we're playing a game, we're dominating it, and then it's like, oh yeah, we brought Samuel Eto'o on. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Right. So, if you want to kind of kick off the first part of the match at
Absolutely
against Wolfsburg.
Well, and Wolfsburg wasn't pressing high initially either, which is obviously the cardinal sin against us, because we will literally just keep the ball and play it. For the first 4 minutes, we just sat there and played the ball around. To get comfortable, to take the sting out of the match, knowing that they're either going to have to sit back or they're going to have to press us, and we were pretty comfortable, and if there's anything about this game that it was new and novel, it was how clinical we were, because you saw as the game went on, they kept picking up chances, but we were like, hey, yeah, you gave us a chance, we scored. You gave us a chance, we scored. You gave us a chance, we scored. It's like, well, that's the game.
Right.
And that's a very new thing for Everton. And I know there were some people that were unhappy about the fact that we weren't picking up a lot of possession and we weren't dominating the game from that perspective. But I think we were being a lot more clever than those people would give us credit for being, because we were controlling the game even if we weren't. Even if we weren't completely in possession. It's the whole Roberto talks about, and you can see him in the background if you're watching the live feed. Roberto talks about the idea of bending and not breaking. The fact
Right.
that we can sit there and absorb as much pressure as we were absorbing and then just hit them back and score is the entire idea behind what Roberto's trying to do, because we're going to face teams that can keep possession and have some pretty good players. I mean, there's a Brazilian international on this team, and Ivica Alic was playing, and God knows how deadly he is as a poacher, and we just dealt with him all game.
Yeah, he didn't get much chance to do anything for them with Jags. Jags did a really good job of making sure that he didn't have a whole lot to do. So.
Yeah, first goal.
Yeah, first goal. I mean, it's just it's one of those things where we get out. I was saying this the first 15 minutes, right up until the goal. Our build-up was just so slow, and we had tons of possession first 10 minutes, but there was hardly any build-up, and then
we didn't even get into their half for the first 7 minutes. It was very bizarre from that perspective, because it was like we're playing it around, and then we never actually made any forays forward.
Yeah. I definitely am hearing something there, but
Robot Pet is coming through the speakers, despite the fact that he's not connected at the moment.
Sure, yeah, but great build up, and amazing. And again, it's this Morales and Baines maybe are starting to get things figured out a little bit.
Well, the interplay for the first goal was fantastic. It was McCarthy was in there as well, and you released Baines. I don't know if Wolfsburg was quite ready for what we were bringing out, and maybe it was just a matter of they're so worried about Lukaku that they're drawing a lot of players into him, and it allows both of our outside backs to get up and attack. And you saw that with Leighton Baines. I mean, how many goals was he involved in today?
2 assists and a penalty.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's just ripping through them, and then honorable mention Naismith as well, because I thought his touches as we finally started to make the forays forward at the beginning of the first half, he would take a touch and he would play somebody in, and I thought his touches were fantastic. And then you see him make that run, and the ball from Baines is probably slightly behind him, yet he still gets the outside of the foot on it and forces it in, which I think is the mark of a true finisher.
No, it wasn't the outside of his foot. It was the inside of his right foot that he was standing on as he was kicking it.
That's what it was. All right.
So and the fact that he got enough power on it to get it even to goal was pretty miraculous, and then it took 8 deflections and went over the line, and it's unfortunate it went in as an own goal instead of a goal by Naismith, because I'm starting to think that he's probably one of the best players we've ever had. But
he won't stop scoring, which I love.
Hey, if he can threaten the defense, eventually the defense is going to have to do something to neutralize him, which is just going to leave the other guy that is pretty good still even that much more open.
Well, and the thing about the way Naismith's playing in the position that he's playing in, Lukaku is sitting there on on the back line for whatever team we're playing against, and Naismith is sitting in the hole a little bit farther off of them, and every time that they fight Lukaku off of the ball, it's going to Naismith almost every single time. And Naismith, it was obviously he had the renaissance last season for us, but it was really a renaissance of the fact that he was being played out of position for the entire time he was at Everton before Roberto came in, and Roberto was like, "Yeah, you're not a winger. I'm not going to play you on. I'm not going to play you on the wing anymore." And if you look back to the match, the beginning of last season against Aston Villa, where we just absolutely thrashed Villa. And I know they came back at the end, but you saw those same touches that he's currently making to link up play, and I was really heartened by that result, because I was like, oh look, we got a striker with a good touch who's able to link up play in the final third, and then he's playing out on the wing again.
Yeah,
And now
but
we're seeing Naismith like come into his own, and it's fantastic.
well, he and Lukaku are starting to understand their spacing a little bit better. Lukaku's doing a lot better of getting the ball out from underneath his feet more quickly. So I think that's very helpful. And then right,
He's also getting into the channels, which is something that he wasn't doing a lot of before. You saw it,
yeah,
and God help us all. Like we don't want Lukaku running the channels, but like the fact that he's putting the pressure on different parts of the opposing defense is fantastic.
it worked against Arsenal. That's all I know.
Exactly. Yeah, it works against Arsenal. It's any time that we can get him faced up running toward goal, he's going to put pressure on the defense. He's going to make them move, and he's going to open up space for everyone else.
Yep. So then, right before the stroke of halftime, it kind of seems to become Everton's signature move at the moment is let's wait until the 45th minute, see how much fourth official puts up on the board, and then score.
Yeah. Well, what started the move that gave us that goal though? Because I mean, Leighton Baines' touch to Seamus Coleman was ridiculous. He's like,
Right.
I'll just bounce it over two players right to your head. It's fine.
Yeah, it's like beer pong.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at it, it was almost the exact same play from Jonas Olsson. They
Sure.
play it straight to Lukaku, and it's like, oh, thanks. And I've taken to watching the matches, and somebody makes a defensive mistake like that, I go, uh-oh, because I know that we're about to like pounce on it and we're about to do something dangerous. And to his credit, Lukaku turns and plays in Morales, who cuts inside and fires off like this just whipping shot that the keeper has to parry, and
Right.
then Leighton Baines gets onto it, takes this just absurd touch, and who's there? Our left back plays it to our right back, who's standing 2 feet off of the goal line.
Yeah, so
There's
whenever
no way to
Baines
expect
puts that
that.
across, in the 6-yard box is our left back, our striker, and our right back. How do you defend that? How do you even? So if you're looking at it right then and there, if you took a snapshot of the formation, it's a 3-4-1-2. And the 3 is our left back, right back, and our striker up top.
I love the way
I don't
that
even understand how that happens.
I love
But
the
for
way that
some reason, this is not the first time Seamus Coleman has popped up at the back post.
It's not
And
even his
it's not
first.
gonna
It's not
be
even his
the
first
last
header.
either.
It's not going to be his last either. That's what's so wild. I mean, he probably could have scored against West Brom if he on the same the play we were talking about where Osman was had that whip across and Ben Foster saved it. Seamus Coleman was actually not far enough, or maybe he was like too far up at that point to actually respond and play it in. But it was the fact that he's there, and that I mean that's what makes us so dangerous. I mean, Wolfsburg is probably sitting there like, "Are you kidding?" It's like, why are there two defenders just tearing us apart right now? And if you look at the touches from Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman in the first half, it's from the far part back of our defense all the way up to the front, and it's just like both sides. It's like, what are you supposed to do?
The
We're
heat
playing
map
with
on
amazing
those two
wind.
is just nasty.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, and that was something that we were worried about a little bit with Rodriguez, and he was definitely known to get forward and create lots of chances, and something that we had to worry about. Just kind of not sure how Coleman was going to deal with him, but apparently by just attacking more is the answer to how to defend against that.
I love that Rodriguez like immediately after the game put on an Everton shirt. I don't know what sort of message he's trying to send. He's like, "Hey, come get me." But
Right, yeah.
but he was fantastic in the game. He obviously had the own goal, but that was kind of like he's laying on the line and his keeper deflects it into him, and what he's supposed to do. But he was dangerous because he played these whipping balls around our defenders into Olich's feet. And I mean,
Yeah.
if you had somebody finishing better, then it could have been a lot more dangerous. But I was really impressed by him today, and apparently he's very young as well. He's like 22.
Yep.
And only purchased for like 6 or 7 million. Come on home, son.
Yeah. So
You
2-0 at halftime. Everything's looking pretty pretty slick for Everton in the opening match day of Europa League at Goodison under
Group
the
H.
lights and in Group H. Yes,
Watch out, Group H.
H. It's H.
H. Is it
Yeah,
H?
yeah, it's H. It's as in HD. That so
It's in HD.
yeah, since HD. So Group H, looking pretty good after 45 minutes. We come out in the second half, and Aiden McGeady just gets tackled in the box, and it's just a stonewall penalty.
Penalty for you, or is it outside the box?
No, it was outside the box.
It was definitely
It was outside the box by like 2 yards. It was like
sorry,
2 yards.
we're sorry, world. It'll, as we said earlier, it'll even out over
Listen,
the course of the season. and all that.
James, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sorry at all.
Sorry, not sorry.
I mean, I was looking at our penalty statistics a couple weeks ago, and the amount of penalties we get in the Premier League is just like appalling. I remember it was like May, and we hadn't had a penalty yet in the season. It was like, seriously, the fouls happen, but like you got to call it. And I mean, you know, it's unfortunate for Wolfsburg. I think it was unlucky. And I'm not sure why
I'm sure we'll see a picture online tomorrow with the box, the 18-yard box redrawn to go around Aiden McGeady. But you know what? It's into the street end. Ped was screaming his lungs out for a penalty because, you know, from his seat, it looks like it's in the box. From my seat in the pub,
they carried it into the box.
Yeah, from my seat in the pub, looking at the TV, it was definitely outside of the box.
Yeah, you know, depressingly enough, I was my internet stream at that point was like a minute behind. So like somebody messaged me and was like, "That Baines penalty was fantastic," and I was like, "What penalty?"
Nice.
So
yeah,
I had to rewind it and watch it.
But you know, finally getting a little bit of pressure onto the Italian referee, so much better than previous Italian referees we've had. And I'm not even going to mention his name. Shut up! Don't even say it. Yeah, so to get a penalty there was, I mean, a foul there in that position would have been just.
I mean, Baines would have been anyway. Let's be honest.
He would have been licking his chops from there, so he would have.
The free kick in the first half as well that Lukaku took, I thought was pretty good. I mean, obviously didn't match up to the one that Rodriguez hit.
It was good. Lukaku's free kick was good. It definitely wasn't placed as well as it needed to be to get past Bengal or whatever it is. Benaglio.
His facial hair is top class. I don't know about his playing, but
he looks like a Backstreet Boy, and I don't even know which one.
I'm extremely jealous of the skin tone and the combination with the facial hair. So
most of it's fake.
Yeah.
But and then Baines' penalty, well taken across his body.
It's like 18 of 19 in his career. That number is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So. It's now 3-0, 47th minute, and I know for a fact that I'm not the only one thinking pre-match, man, I hope that we don't fall flat on our face.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping we didn't blow it, but it was if we had not gotten that third goal, I think we would have pushed them a little harder because they racked up a lot of like half chances and like they were spraying balls everywhere.
Yeah.
Trying to get back into the game, but it was because we were allowing them to play into us because we really didn't need to go get another goal, and we were waiting for them to push forward and then hitting them on the counter, which obviously paid dividends later in the half. But it allowed us to basically rest and play out the rest of the game.
It was very pedestrian or in the pace it seemed like, but it was not boring.
Yeah,
I don't think the fact that we scored 3 goals was definitely helped that fact.
Tim Howard was absolutely like sublime. He set the Europa League record for amount of saves in a match. He's just doing that. Like obviously he set the World Cup record. We were playing against Belgium, and he's just
So 12 saves. I don't know how bodes for your defense. In the Belgium match in the World Cup, that meant our defense was really, really horrible. In this match, I don't know. I mean, they took 27 shots.
They were just getting none of. I mean, they obviously could have finished them better, but none of them were like nailed on. You've got to finish that. It was a matter of like they're having a lot of pressure put on from our defenders, and then they're playing it like straight at Tim Howard.
Yeah, there were a couple of times it was pretty nervy in the sixth that I was like, really, that should have gone in.
Yeah,
They
and
should have
Luis
finished a
Gustavo
couple
had
of
one
those.
of those.
Yeah.
And somebody put him off, and I'm not sure why he passed it directly to Tim Howard's feet, but
But we said thank you and moved on.
exactly,
In
yeah.
in the 68th minute, 69th minute, Lukaku comes off, gets a round of applause, and on comes
Resting him for the weekend.
sure, why not? On comes Samuel Eto'o, and the reception that he got was amazingly awesome. Loved it.
He looks. The funny thing is, he like in like his Everton shirt and kit, he just looks so little. And then you're like,
Well, that's
when
because he replaced Lukaku.
but when he gets the ball, it's like a guy from another planet just like started. It's like his first touch that he had where he like played off three defenders and played Naismith into space and to run on, and it was just like, what are you?
Right.
It's like our substitutes are normally not supposed to be that good.
Then we saw the return of Darren Gibson.
Woo!
Yay!
I mean-
It's going to be a guy that we need to keep fit. He needs to get playing time. He needs to be in the squad because we are going to have a lot of matches, and so we're going to
have to rotate our central midfielders as well.
Right. Barry's not going to be able to play 90 minutes every match, nor will we hopefully need him to. So, yeah, it's just good to see him back. Looked okay. Definitely had a couple of touches that
A little rusty, probably at fault for the final goal, but
yeah. We'll get
to that.
Yeah. First, I want to talk about the Morales goal.
You want to talk about Samuel Eto'o having vision that's beyond what we're used to for
yeah, it's definitely something that we're not used to seeing in a long time. To being able to pick out a pass like that, nutmegging the defender, and I'm not sure 100%. I didn't see the replays fully if Morales was onside or not.
Yeah, it was very close if he wasn't.
Fox Soccer's coverage of the world feed for this match was just horrible, and they used the old badge and
we're trying to do an affiliate deal with them. Fox Soccer, I think you did an all right job. Now, yeah, I was watching the online feed, so they replayed all the goals like 1,000 times from a lot of different angles. But he looked. I mean, if it was very close if he wasn't onside. I think he was probably onside. And
again,
I mean, his
another call that goes our way in benefit of the doubt and something that we're not used to. Maybe we should play.
If you don't have the money, maybe you got to get the luck. You know.
Right. But did really well. I've seen him miss from there. I've seen lots of players miss from there.
It was brilliant what he did with his hips. He turns to play it outside of Benaglio and then just slots it inside.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, because there were like 3 yards to the near post, wide open, and so he just puts it in. And then I don't know if many of you all caught this, but I'm pretty sure he kisses the badge.
He did kiss the badge, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I love Kevin Morales, so I'm thrilled that he kissed the badge. I think he's going to sign up and be a long-term player. And I said this earlier today, and I think it's true. Kevin Morales was a purchase, and he's supposed to help us in the Premier League, obviously, because we weren't in Europe at that time. But I think that Kevin Morales is going to come into his own in these European games because that's the experience that he's had, and that's the experience in which he was a really dominant player. And he's going to go and have an absolute field day because we're stronger than a lot of these teams that we're playing. And if we can get strong performances from people like Kevin Morales, and he's obviously up for it this season. He's scoring goals. I think he scored in his last 3 games or something like that.
Yeah.
something there's some stat out of the last like 11 or something, but I think that
There's
he's
always some stat.
primed. Yeah, right. The stats that I don't remember because the numbers are too high. But I think he's primed to have an unbelievable season in Europe because he's got pace, he's got skill, and he really challenges defenders. And that's what you need in the Premier League because you're dealing with a lot of times with defenses that are really strong, and he gets tired out as you get the defenses that are like fight him more and like he has to put out more effort. But I think that the games are slightly more open in Europe, and I think he'll really thrive in that this season.
Yeah, and then Coleman took a bit of a knock to the head, looked a little woozy, went off in
Was that? Do
stoppage
you think
time.
that was intentional from Olic? I think it might have
No,
been.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think, I mean, yeah, he kind of put his hip into him, but as far
But
as
he
the
threw
head-on
he threw
contact,
the
I don't
head
think.
back, and I don't think he. Yeah. I mean, I watched the replay a couple times, and I was like, was that intentional? Because I know you haven't had a lot of joy today, and like you're just throwing the head back and catching him in the face.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a statement.
Hopefully,
Maybe it's just unlucky.
so hopefully it's nothing much. He'll be all right. And then I'm not even going to talk about their goal because, as far as I'm concerned, we had a clean sheet because that's what Roberto Martinez said. So
I
we're
actually
not even
loved.
going to talk about it.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah,
loved.
he's like, it's unfortunate that it went ended that way because, as far as I'm concerned, Tim Howard played amazing and deserved a clean sheet. So, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't score.
To be fair, I actually loved how the Everton fans reacted to the goal because I mean Rodriguez had a really good game,
Yeah,
and well, obviously Wolfsburg just kept going for it, which I mean credit to them for that. But the placement on that free kick was just
that was sick.
yeah.
It was absolutely sick.
Tim Howard Tim Howard after the game like goes over and just like, hey, that's unbelievable. But the Everton fans like applaud when they score the goal because it's like credit where credit's due. You know, you didn't like lay down when you were down 4-0, and I mean that was true class and entertainment, and Rodriguez is a hell of a player. I think it'll be an interesting tie going to Wolfsburg, especially with all the strain. I mean, we did the preseason friendly there in 2010, and with all the weird like wolf metaphors and howls and all that stuff that's going to definitely be at the stadium. That'll be an interesting match.
Yep. So, 3 points in the league, 3 points in Europa League, first match of the group stage.
Well, and the fantastic thing is the other two teams in the group drew, so that's it makes it an even better result for us.
Yeah, at one point, Krasnodar was up at Lille. Lille had to equalize late on. So, yeah, they split the points. We're sitting top of the group, 3 points, and what most likely is our most stiffest competition in Wolfsburg.
Yep.
And
definitely.
so to get the 3 points at home in that match, get off on the right foot, kind of build on some momentum from the West Brom match. Things are looking pretty good, moving in the right direction for Crystal Palace and the Capital One League Cup third round tie that we'll talk about right whenever we come back.
Anybody else thrilled that Tony Pulis is not the manager of Crystal Palace right now?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Except for Crystal Palace fans.
Except for, yeah. I mean, that was all bizarre and everything, but I'm just glad we're not going to deal with, like, 2 banks of 4 and, like, Peter Crouch or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Or,
all
like,
right.
are we taking a break still?
No, we're getting to get through this, so let's jump back into it. Briefly talk.
What do you know about Crystal Palace? I gotta get the form guide out. Hold on.
None.
Give me a
Nothing.
second.
I don't care either.
Crystal Palace. Is it home or away? It's away, right?
It's home.
Fuck.
Hey, now. Hey, we're still recording live, dude.
Sorry.
You're gonna get benched.
I'm gonna get benched anyway.
Right. Okay. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, we're back on Follow-tonians, brought to you by A.F.C. Services Limited, and so we've got two matches. Don't really want to get into them in a whole lot of detail, just because there's just too many matches. So
I don't know enough about the lower teams in the league.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get into it. I'm
So
like I'm
we've
like
got
rushing for the form guide right now.
yeah, they're down there. Um, his form guide doesn't matter. It's only fifth match of the year. It doesn't matter. Form guide is like it's completely useless.
Who's their manager?
Nobody knows. It's
That's right.
not. Maybe they're gonna hire Felix Magath. Who knows?
Oh,
That would be awesome
run him to death.
for us. That'd be awesome for us. Um, yeah. So, uh, good vein of form for Everton. Crystal Palace is coming in. It should be a side that Everton should be able to see off um, quite uh, clinically. But as far as we saw last year, that did not happen. But they don't have Tony Pulis either.
Yeah, it's not gonna be the same thing as last year. I mean, Tony Pulis for the amount of like he got a lot of grief right at the end of his tenure at Stoke because he spent so much money and was trying to make a transition between
We're
the
trying to make them good.
yeah. Well, I love negative Stoke. I think negative Stoke is hilarious because of how crazy they draw, and it's great every single week as long as you're not playing them because you're like, gosh, you guys are horrible about like the long throws and the set plays and the fact that like every time they're playing defense, they're just hanging on everybody and they're just being dirty. And I actually really appreciate that because I think it's a valid strategy. But trying to make the transition between that and a team that plays good football is somewhat of a difficult thing to do. And he obviously wasn't having to do that at Crystal Palace last season, and got to create a system, his organized, disciplined system that gets results and doesn't get him relegated. If I was a Crystal Palace supporter, I'd be very upset that I'm getting Neil Warnock in to replace him because it's not the same level of same level of the system. And I mean, if you look at the results, I mean, 2 losses and 2 draws. That's not. I think Tony Pulis would have done better than that.
Yeah. I, after the high of the Wolfsburg match and how that just completely shocked me how dominant we were in that. It's making me hard. It's making it hard to talk about anything else.
Yeah, knowing how we've started in Europe before, I think that it's. I mean, it just blew my mind. And it shows the level that Roberto Martinez can get our players up for big games.
Right.
The question is going forward whether he's going to be able to get us up for the games that we need to get the points, but it's not a big team, and it's not like there's not a big storyline involved there. I mean, with Wolfsburg's a good side.
Sure. There's the Thursday, Sunday scenario, but Crystal Palace is probably at home is probably one of the best scenarios that you'd want to have for that second match to be able to bring in. I would expect quite a few changes from
You think
the
he's going to
side
start
that came
Eto?
out on Wolfsburg. What now?
You think he'll start Eto?
I would think so. I think Eto would be in there. Maybe Atsu also.
Maybe rotate the midfield a little bit.
I see Osman in there. Yeah, it definitely.
Saw Ross Barkley today. He was
Yeah,
looking under a seat or something, but he looked like he was walking, which is a fantastic sign.
yeah. Him and Pinar were hanging out on the sideline.
Pinar looked dapper in that suit.
Yes, and but I don't see much problem with us being able to handle Crystal Palace. 3 more, yeah. I mean, if we can play like we have the past 2 matches, definitely against Wolfsburg. I'm pretty sure Wolfsburg is better than Crystal Palace. So hopefully we can take our chances and finish like we have been so far this year. We've played 5 matches and scored 13 goals. That's pretty good average. I like that. All right.
I think Roberto has a plan, and I think that was probably we had a somewhat slow start, and obviously not from the perspective of scoring goals, but from the perspective of results, we had a slow start. But I think that was because he recognized what we're about to go into and have all the fixture congestion that we're normally not used to at this time in the season.
Sure.
Normally we're used to that in like January and February, but when we're making an FA Cup run. But I think he's got a plan, and I think he knows I think he's known since the summer exactly who he's going to play in these games, assuming that there aren't extra injuries picked up and there aren't other fitness concerns. And I think he's got it down, and I think he knows exactly what he's going to do here.
Yeah. So I think 3 points in that match is what we would anticipate.
You guarantee it? What's your all right? We got to do the prediction then.
Score in that one.
Yeah.
5-2.
5-2. You think
Why
Crystal
not?
Palace is scoring 2? Is Cameron Jerome just gonna just come onto the scene and?
I could see us conceding a penalty or something.
Isn't Balassi injured as well? And he kind of drove us crazy last season as well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely goals in us. It's weird. I don't understand it, but I'm not complaining either.
Hey, I'm fine with outscoring people. It's if you can score more goals than people, then that's a characteristic that a lot of teams in the league don't have. And I'm thrilled to have it. I'm thrilled to have goals coming off of the bench as well. When you're bringing on at the weekend, we'll probably see Samuel Eto'o start and Lukaku come on in the second half and just terrorize Crystal Palace. So
yeah, because not even 3 days later, we've got another match. We have to travel to Swansea for League Cup third round. Join the fracas.
Well, where do you fit in on this debate? Do you think we need to because a lot of people think that the League Cup is the competition that's the easiest to win and you can win it early in the season, like February or whatever.
Right.
And think that we should, as a result, really push hard because there aren't that many rounds until you get into the two-legged semis and the finals.
Right.
Do you think we should play our strongest team in that match?
I want trophy. I want a trophy. I want to win. I want something to be able to hang our hat on, and there's no reason why we shouldn't give it as much as we got until we're knocked out of it. Because
we went out last season. We went out to Fulham, right, in that match where Delafeu just
that was horrible.
Well, we just completely dominated them, and Seamus Coleman somehow missed that tap in, and just Darren Bent exists and scored a goal
for some reason.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I don't want to think about that. It makes me sad.
We could totally win that.
We're all shiny happy people right now. If we're in a competition, why not do whatever we can to win it? September's off to a really great start for us. We've got our longest rest period after the Swansea match as we've had in a while.
4 days.
Yeah, 4 days. so yeah, we host Crystal Palace Sunday, and then within 6 days we have three matches. Oh,
unreal!
Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday.
I'm pretty sure Swansea's still never beaten us. They're big into rotating their squads.
Right.
In tournaments, that's or in tournaments, in cup competitions. And
then after that, our youth team will get sent to Russia.
Right, Krasnodar. That place that actually exists. I would love to know how many of our fans we're going to take. I thought the Wolfsburg fans, when they were in town, watching the videos of them coming into Goodison Park was fantastic. Because I knew that they were going to just stir up the atmosphere and make Goodison just a fortress.
Yeah, it's easier to get to Liverpool from Wolfsburg than it is to Krasnodar from Liverpool.
It's like halfway across the world. It's going to be a challenge. It's sort of like those matches that we had back in the day, like 2010, against Bate Borisov, where we would play just kids. The deep dark places of Ukraine, but obviously Krasnodar is a little bit farther than that.
Yeah. So do we advance against Swansea, or do we care? Do we just?
Swansea's been good this season. I don't think they're that deep though. Obviously they had that run in the Europa League last season that really depleted them for most of the time.
But they don't have that this year.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have the depth, and I think they'll rotate a little bit. And if they rotate, then I think we'll probably go through pretty easily. If they don't rotate and they take it seriously, then that's another thing. And obviously, they won the League Cup a couple of seasons ago, so
Right.
it may be
Finally
something that
got
they're
in the
very
growth.
interested in. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to mention? Shout outs? Throw it out there.
Shout out to Ped
Yeah.
and his sister. Congratulations. We're thrilled, and I'm sure that everyone will be thrilled to have you back next week. I've actually been kind of annoyed that he's gone because all of the podcasts that I normally listen to get my Everton fix in the week don't have Ped on them anymore. So he needs to sort that out right now.
Right. Wake up, Ped.
Yeah,
Get back on the show.
Ped, start talking again.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Much appreciated. Good start to September. We've got 3 more before the end of the month, and they're coming fast and thick. So yeah, it's been
We can
fun.
beat anybody, we're not even in our highest gear yet. We're gonna thrash somebody 8-0, 10-0 at some point this season. I have no doubt.
And we might even get to Feo back in January. We'll talk about that next week. All right,
That's right.
everybody. Thanks for listening. Come on, you Blues. Let's go.